Hey everybody, I'm James, and today we're looking at a Democratic presidential candidate who got a lot of attention on YouTube following his performance in the debates. Former Alaska Senator Mike Gravel served in the Senate from 1969 until 1981. He joins me now. Senator Mike Gravel, thank you so much for joining me.
Happy to be here.
You're here to make some kind of announcement, some kind of policy announcement about foreign policy, is that correct?
Well, it's about foreign policy. It's how to get out of Iraq. And I'm having a press conference on Monday where I'll be releasing the text of a bill, a piece of legislation that makes it a felony if we don't get out in 60 days. They'll filibuster it. Let them filibuster it. And then what the leaders should do is have a cloture vote on, as soon as it's apparent they're filibustering, have a cloture vote on noon on that day, and they won't get cloture, but then they have it noon the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and they cut out and do it 7 days a week. You see, by this tactic, we permit and give the people time to weigh in and begin to put the pressure on their representatives, their senators, to say, what are you people doing? This is costing human lives, and we want the war to end. Of course, if we had the national initiative, which is what I'm really pushing as my primary motivation, and that is for the people to make laws. If the people were able to make laws with the national initiative today, they would get us out of Iraq last fall.
So let's hear about this national initiative. How would it work on a practical level, and what is it for people that have never heard of it before?
Well, what it is, it's a federal ballot initiative, and the plan is very simple. The people can be empowered to make laws and should be able to make laws in every government jurisdiction of the United States in partnership with their elected officials.
Okay.
From my point of view, the people are totally qualified to make the decisions on policy matters that affect their lives.
In your view, you say the people are totally qualified to do this, but it seems like, if you look at how the Constitution was originally written and the motivation of some of the founders, it seems like they were actually very wary of this kind of direct democracy. If you look at the layers that people put between the people and their government.
Jim, with all due respect, that's not correct. Because if you take the statements of George Washington, James Madison, Thomas Jefferson, James Wilson, they all said that the people should and have the right to make laws. They all said that.
So you see it as really a purification and kind of a perfection of what the founders had originally wanted.
Totally. And not only a perfection, what it does, it's even more significant than that. Because what this is, changing the paradigm of human governance.
A lot of your other issue positions on things like gay rights and marijuana and all these other things, they seem more liberal. So where do you kind of put yourself on the political spectrum?
Well, I put myself across the whole spectrum. In other words, you try to make up your mind as to what's logical. And it doesn't take a genius to figure out that our war on drugs is a failure. We spend $50 to $70 billion a year, destabilize governments, increase crime in the world and in the United States, when all we'd have to do is legalize marijuana and then legalize the regulation of all other drugs. And the drug problem is a public health issue. It's not a criminal problem.
It sounds like, in a way, that some of your views are actually very similar to Congressman Ron Paul, who I had in my dorm room not a few weeks ago. Some people I've seen online, several comments to the effect of, I like Ron Paul and I like Mike Gravel. I want them both to run on some kind of a team hybrid ticket. What do you think about that?
Well, first off, I think it's very flattering. I think Ron Paul is a very independent person, and he's very libertarian. I've got traces of libertarian in me. I've got traces of liberalism, classic liberalism, civil rights area. I've got traces of normal liberalism. I've got traces of some areas of Republican. And the whole premise of the national initiative, or what I'm talking about, is unreserved faith in the people. Now, if you're not prepared to make that commitment, then fine. Live with what you got. Rule by an elite minority that is feeding their face and their greed.
And if you'd like to say anything talk about direct to the people, here we go, Senator Mike Gravel, direct to the people.
I hope you'll vote to empower yourself by going to the nationalinitiative.us and vote for the national initiative.
And what's your website for your presidential campaign?
Gravel08.us.
I'd like to present to you this. This is your pencil puppet, which I've talked about. I've used in a video of you what I've made before. And I'd like to give that to you as a token of you coming on the show. I really appreciate it. And
I thank you. And
Senator, thank you so much for dropping by.
Thank you, and I'll keep it.
I hope you do.
I will. Don't worry about that.
Okay, Senator Mike Gravel.
Thank you.